Long, long ago, in a country far, far away, I volunteered with Wildlife Act, monitoring African wild dogs, cheetahs, spotted hyenas, and lions. This is Paulette Struckman of Santa Catalina School in Monterey, California. The African wild dog is an IUCN Red List endangered species. There are only about 3,000 left in the wild. However, it is not covered by CITES, the Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species, but it should be. DeWild breeds the African wild dog in captivity and then reintroduces them into the wild. They've been reintroduced into a number of areas around South Africa, and one of the questions the monitoring program has been trying to answer is why the numbers of dogs have not been increasing. The wild dogs are very fecund. For example, Stitch, the alpha female at the Thanda Private Game Reserve where I volunteered, bore 15 pups in 2010. Although many pups are born, the survival rate is only 60% for the first year of life. The causes of mortality are different in different locations. However, in Mkuzi, which is a provincial park in KwaZulu-Natal, the primary reason for wild dog death is actually due to snares from poachers. The poachers are not trying to catch the wild dogs, they are trying to kill game, such as impala, and other animals, including wild dogs, are also killed. Wild dogs are about to be reintroduced into the Tembe Elephant Park. The strategy here is to mix captive bred males with wild-caught females, because the captive bred males introduce new bloodlines, but the wild-caught females know how to hunt. Together, if they can bond as a pack, then they have a chance of being survivable. The dogs are kept in a boma, which, as you can see here, is a large fenced area. The fence is electrified, both to protect the dogs from the lions and to keep the dogs from escaping. The idea is to give the dogs a chance to bond as a pack. However, since they cannot hunt for themselves, we have to hunt for them. The dogs must eat fresh meat. They cannot eat dog food like a domestic dog. They're simply not designed to be able to process that kind of food. They are essentially pure carnivores, they are not omnivores. I did not hunt any animal, however, I was involved in the process of butchering the carcasses. Only a person with a proper permit, such as the reserve manager, would shoot an animal. This culling is not pleasant, but it is a necessary part of conservation. The reserves are not pristine habitats. Water must be provided for the animals because previously many of them went to seasonal water sources, and the fences prevent them from going somewhere else. We have not successfully recreated a balance between predator, prey, and vegetation. Impala and Nyala are often overabundant and could destroy the habitat and therefore starve or be subject to death by disease. Culling helps to reduce this possibility. And if left in the wild, the dogs might have preyed on these animals anyway. The process of returning the wild dogs to their natural habitat is by no means perfect. One of the females was injured by a bite from one of the males, and the wound became infected. She had to have a hind leg amputated. An animal like this is actually survivable in the wild and can hunt. There was a similar dog at the Thanda Game Reserve that survived for more than a year. However, the question remains, if she's reintroduced to the pack, will they accept her? Can she be released into the wild? 8 pups were born in July to the alpha female there, and I had the privilege of being able to see these pups for the first time. They will have to remain there for at least 3 months until they're actually capable of following the adults as they hunt at the time when they would normally leave the den. At that point, they can be released. However, they will still have to take their chances with the lions, and Tembe has a very large lion population. While I was there doing a survey of the lions, we found that there were at least 8 more lions than they realized they had. While at Thanda, I had the privilege of being able to watch many of the activities of the wild dogs. The den had actually been placed quite close to a road, and we were able to see the pups for 14 days consecutively and watch as they developed. This is a highly unusual occurrence. About a week after I left, the den was moved, primarily to avoid the parasites that build up, like the fleas and the ticks, inside the den. And that den, the new den site, was in thick brush, and they have not been able to see the pups yet since the move. We were able to watch the dogs taking care of the pups. After they returned from hunt, the adults would regurgitate for the pups when they begged. Oddly enough, the pups actually sound more like birds than like puppies. Other necessary activities included cleaning of the den, which was usually done by one of the older sisters digging out the den, and also licking the pups in their genital region in order to encourage them to defecate.
You're playing in the scene with him.
The subadults, who are siblings of the pups that have been born, were primary caregivers in this case. The actual mother, Stitch, had a tendency to spend as little time with the pups as possible. We recorded her for nursing the pups for no longer than 2 minutes and 10 seconds at a time, and she was always standing and eating. As soon as she was done with the eating, she would run away and yap or nip at the pups in order to get them to not follow her. The subadults, however, tended to pick up the slack. The father, Sky, would regurgitate for the pups. Stitch would come and eat most of the food. Sky was not involved a lot with the pup care other than the feeding, however. In contrast, the alpha female in the boma at Tembe was a very good mother. In the one chance I had to observe her, she spent lots of quality time with the pups. She would lie down to let the pups nurse, she would let them come and go as they pleased, and was remarkably patient with them. She would clean them and let them climb all over her, and she would play with them. She clearly enjoyed her pups. I did witness at least one of the other adults regurgitating for the pups. However, once they had been fed, she drove him off, which, given what had happened to that other female, that is one of her sisters, that's probably a good thing. Another rare occurrence at Thanda was that both the alpha female and the beta female became pregnant. Typically, only the alpha female is allowed to breed. The alpha female delivered her pups about 3 weeks before the beta female delivered hers. The alpha female, Stitch, made sure that the other dogs were not feeding the beta female, Gizmo. We also believe that she killed Gizmo's pups, for she moved her pups into Gizmo's den. Oddly enough, both Stitch and Gizmo were themselves the product of a similar problem. However, in that case, the pups were born much closer together, some of each litter were killed, and genetic testing revealed that Gizmo and Stitch, although raised by the same mother, the alpha female, actually had different genetic mothers. One of the interesting developments at Tembe, among the pack kept in the boma, was that the alpha male there, during the mating season, actually got beaten out by a larger dog who bred the female and we believe is the father of the pups. But after the mating period ended and the female was out of estrus, the former alpha male took over again. Back at Thanda, we were intensively monitoring Gizmo, the beta female, as she began to reintegrate with the pack after the death of her pups. At first, she was not allowed near the alpha female's pups at all, and had not been allowed to feed with the other dogs, although she had previously been their most successful hunter. We were able to witness her once again hunting with the pack, although not really leading it. Presumably that will come along shortly. She was also allowed back with the pups, even inside the den with them. However, by the time that I left, we never actually witnessed her feeding the pups, although she did play with them and clean them and take care of the den. Now that the den has moved out of sight, there's probably no way to see exactly what's going on anymore. So we had a brief window in time to witness quite an amazing soap opera among the wild dogs. The subadults at Thanda were also very interesting to watch. There are 2 males and 2 females. They're not quite yet ready to leave and go out on their own. Typically, only one gender will actually disperse. This dispersion prevents interbreeding. And indeed, the females that were wild caught for Tembe were females that were about ready to disperse anyway. They were right at that age. When they disperse at about the age of 2 years, they typically stay together with their siblings of the same age. In this case, we expect the 2 boys, Riley and Jomar, will probably be the ones to disperse. In watching them play, Jomar at this point seems to be the one who's dominant. He is a little bit larger than Riley. However, Riley is developing to be quite a good hunter. I had the opportunity to watch the dogs hunting on more than one occasion, including one kill that appeared almost right in front of me. The video clip of this kill may be a little bit disturbing to watch, because at the beginning you can still hear the bleating of the reed buck, which has been brought down.
Oh,
Many people consider that wild dog to be cruel because they start to feed before the animal is actually dead. However, the animal is in a state of shock and may not be experiencing all that much pain in comparison to, for example, an animal that's being strangled by a lion. The African wild dog has essentially the highest kill rate of any carnivore, succeeding 80 to 85% of the time, in comparison to about 30 or 40% for the lions. They succeed in their hunts by running down their prey in highly organized attacks, where different dogs may take the lead at different times, and basically they simply tire out their prey. The dogs eat as rapidly as possible. They devour the kill in minutes, so that they can eat as much as possible before something else comes to take it away from them, for example, a hyena or a lion. If you're looking at a carcass, you can tell the kill was done by a wild dog because they leave the rib cage intact and they don't eat the skin. Although they will chew on it for a bit to get the fat and such underneath the skin itself is left behind.
Yeah. Right.
In Kruger National Park, the dogs have been known to hunt quite intelligently using the tourist cars to assist them. A couple of dogs run up and down the road, attracting a line of tourists to watch them. They stay on one side of the car while the pack hunts. Some members of the pack herd animals towards the cars. The antelope don't realize that the other dogs are waiting behind it and get surprised. Hunts conducted in this way are highly successful. The dogs seem to be quite intelligent. The reasons they've become endangered include loss of habitat and people exterminating them because they will prey on livestock, especially when wild animals are no longer available to be eaten. However, there are no recorded attacks of wild dogs on humans. This made me feel a lot better when I had to haul a carcass into the boma, and I was surrounded by 6 wild dogs that hadn't been fed in about 3 days. It was definitely an exciting adventure, but this was only the beginning.